Finally, in 1858, Charles Darwin receives a letter from a young swashbuckling collector named Alfred Russel Wallace, who's been collecting natural specimens across the islands of Indonesia, where Wallace realized that the animals and plants abruptly change when one crosses this very short distance across this imaginary line from the island of Borneo to the island of Celebes. The animals change from orangutans and monkeys and elephants and tigers on the Asian side, placental mammals, to tree kangaroos and couscouses, marsupial mammals, and flamboyant birds of paradise on the Australian side of the line. Why? Well, Wallace didn't know it at the time, but this is where two continental plates are colliding, as well as two ancient evolutionary groups of fauna, animals, as well as flora, plants that are colliding as well. The placental mammals from Asia, the marsupial mammals from Australia. But it's here that Wallace realized that animals that live more closely together in space were more closely related to each other. The marsupials, with their unique form of reproduction, were more closely clustered to each other in space. All of this suggested to Wallace a shared ancestry among these different groups of animals. So Wallace had independently outlined Darwin's idea by observing what we refer to today as biogeography, the relationship between the distributions of species and their evolutionary history. So Darwin receives this letter and he is appalled. Thankfully, his good friend, the geologist Charles Lyell, brokers a joint presentation with both Darwin and Wallace, presenting this idea together to the Linnaean Society. The presentation largely goes unnoticed. With Wallace forcing his hand, however, in 1859, Charles Darwin finally publishes On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, and the foundational underpinning of the modern science of biology is born. So you're going to conclude this learning activity by checking out a wonderful video below. It's very well done, which tells Darwin and Wallace's story and how they meet